Hello everyone, thank you for joining today. Today we'll be creating a pedestrian bridge on an imported Civil 3D surface in Revit. We'll be using in-place mesh components to create the bridge in Revit, and at the end of the session and after creating the bridge, we'll export the bridge as an AutoCAD file and xref onto the original surface in Civil 3D. As you mightn't be aware of too many of the elements that in Revit, there's conceptual mesh. And there's two ways of creating the mesh in Revit. One's with in-place meshes, and the other way is just by inserting mesh families, which are previously created mesh elements that you can place into any project that you've got. The in-place ones are purely just for the project that you got open at the time. So an in-place mesh is a system family and created and used within the project. And so we've got conceptual mesh families, which are created created by using a new mesh family, inserting into the component into the project. You can apply Revit elements such as curtain systems, walls, roofs and floors to each face of the mesh. This includes the curtain system in the image on the screen at the moment. And you can also create a roof face on a non-vertical face to represent a roof, and that can be of just about any shape at all. And we can also create walls by face by just selecting a side of the mesh. And the final item or element that you can place is floors, and that can be for multi-unit floors or multi-storey buildings, and those floor meshes can also be converted to floor elements, floor
John,
slabs, etc. Yes.
Essentially, are we saying here that these elements, as it were, curtain, roof, wall, floor by face, etc., they are the tools that you use to create the bridge? So whilst you're not using a curtain necessarily, it's the only tool which would help you give that sort of flexible side element of the bridge. No,
the mesh itself gives the flexible side. So you change the mesh element like it would with like molding putty or whatever. You have a mesh element, and once you've created that mesh element of any shape, then you can pick any surface of that mesh element and apply a roof, curtain, wall, floor or wall to it, depending on the shape. Like sometimes you might want to just do a roof element as a mesh. So you create a mesh just representing the roof alone, and then just apply a Revit roof to that, or you can also put a curtain wall system to it to have a glass roof or something like that.
Okay, thank you.
So what we'll do now is we'll start a new project, just using the standard template that we've been using. And once that's started up.
So John, this template is the template that comes installed with the software. Is that correct? This is the AU template?
It's a standard one that always, which came with the architectural Australian version. Yes, it's an Australian one.
just in case you haven't watched the first 4 videos, that was all. Just want to make sure we cover off where that's come from. Thanks, John.
But the masses could be created in any of the templates. It's a basic element. So I'll just go to save the project first. I'll just call it project 1 in there. Now the first things I'll need to do is I'll set the project up to so that I can import and view the surface from Civil 3D. So the first thing I'll do is I'll just go to one of the elevations, and I'll turn off the crop view from the properties. Pull it over here, and I'll change the names of these. I've just double clicked on that there now, and I'll just call that just the base level, which is basically going to be sea level. And I'll just change this to be our walkway or pedestrian way bridge. And I'll give that a height of roughly where it's going to be going, which I've got the surfaces from Tamworth here, so I'll just put in a Tamworth height. So now if we go up there, the surface will be, it's our walkway bridge up there. So now I can go and insert and link our CAD drawing. So I've got that marked there, so I'll right click on it there just to bring it up, and I'll change all the colours to black and white. I'll turn off correct the lines, and I'll change this to a manual positioning at this stage, and I'll be putting it on the base level and orientate it to view. So I'll go to the walkway bridge level. Now that it's not visible in here at the moment because we've got to change our view range. So I'll change that to 20,000. There, where else? What have we got there? Actually, it hasn't come in, I don't think. I'll just, while we're there, I'll go to insert and just go to manage links. CAD, no, it didn't come in. So I'll just do that again. So I'll go back to the walkway bridge, link CAD, select the surface and put it on the base level, and everything should be right there. And then I'll just locate that there. So what I'll do now, the first thing I'll do is there's a command to pin that surface. So if I can't accidentally move it. So if I go up to the ribbon up here, there's a little pin. So now if I go to move it, I can't move it. Now the next thing I'll need to do is I want to share the coordinates from this project to the Civil 3D project. So I'll go to Manage, go to Coordinates, and I'll acquire the coordinates from the inserted surface. So that's there. So now I can, I'll go to Massing and Site and Topo Surface, and I'll create a surface from the inserted drawing. So pick the drawing, select none, and then I'll just go down and find that surface, which is the mesh here, select OK, and that'll run through and create a new surface. Warning's just telling me that the it just joined up the boundary on the edges here, which doesn't really matter. So I'll click on OK. Now the next thing, I don't need to see that original imported surface anymore. So I'll go to Visibility Graphics and I'll just use the shortcut VG to bring that up. And I'll go to the tab and select Imported Categories, and I'll turn off the walkway surface. So now it's only the new Revit topo surface that's visible. The next thing I'll do is I'll just go to this drop down arrow here and pick on it, and I'll just change the contour display to be 500 mil. And I'll also go to the ribbon and select contour labels, and I'll just run through a couple of labels. So,
John, just while you're pointing that out, I just wondered if it was worth mentioning, but you may have seen that there was a difference between what was originally imported when you had roads and cul-de-sacs, and all of a sudden you've used the surface. You've then created a surface, and it's obviously different. But I suppose what you did there was you imported the drawing, which happens to have the 3D faces for everything that's in the project. But the actual civil 3D surface that was in that drawing is actually different, isn't it? You've actually only got what looks like these basins and the natural surface. So what you did there was actually use the actual real surface that was in the drawing, not the whole drawing, to create a brand new Revit surface. Is that correct? Does that make sense?
From the triangulated surface from the Civil 3D, it's used the points to create its own topo
but that didn't include the roads, did it? That Civil 3D surface didn't.
Well, they are there.
Oh, they are there. My apologies. Yes, because I'm looking at contours. I could not see them. I take that all back then. Right. I'm going to mute myself and let you continue.
No, that's all right.
We'll cut this out in the edit.
Now, the next thing I need, just to display those contour labels, I'll change the scale up a bit so that we can see the contour labels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a bridge from around this location here at the 44,800 contour line, and I'll end up over the 44,900 contour line over there. So the first thing, a couple of things I'll do. I just want to set up the 3D views a little bit better too, because they're also displaying the imported surface. So I'll go to the VG, Visibility Graphics, Imported, and I'll turn it off on there as well. And on here, I'll also turn it into wireframe, And actually I might go to visibility graphics and go to the topo surface, and I'll just give it a half tone so that it's half toned there. Now from here, what I'll do is I'll go to the project browser and I'll duplicate that 3D view and I'll rename it export. So this will be, the export view will be the view that we'll be exporting in the end. And I'll leave that like that for now, but we'll go back to our walk bridge. So there's set up. And so I'll go and I'll start by drawing just an outline of the path of the bridge itself, approximately where I want it to be. And I think let's put it along here, and I'll type in 3 meters. So it'll be about 3 meters wide. And I'll just do a start point. And I'll make that 6 meters up there. And I'll do the same thing around the other side. Start on that one, I'll make it 3 meters wide. Okay, so at this stage, it's going to be going through there and around like that. So once I've got that, I've got to start, I've got to draw a reference line in the mass, in place mass tool. So I'll select in place mass. Now this is just a warning message that comes up that the masses only show or can be turned on and off. So they're not always visible within the drawing. That's all that's letting you know. I'll call it mass 1. And I'll go to reference line and I'll select spline through points. And I'm only just going to put the path line just on one side of the bridge. So I'm going to go from that point to that point and across to the other side. And I'll hit the escape key. So now I've got the path. I'll now go to the 3D view and I'll just go the way that we're looking at it then. And now I'm going to draw a profile of the bridge itself with the height and thickness but using the rectangle tool. Now, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to place a point. So I went to place a point and I'm going to place it on the path. It's on the path there now, and then I go to reference, rectangle, work plane and set it. And now that's correct. And I'll just put a rectangle in and I'll make it 3 meters by 1200, which will represent the shape of the mass bridge. So now I'm just going to select both well, the point and the reference, and I'll copy that and I'll just make another copy there, and I'll place that in a minute, and I'll just put these two over here to place them in a minute. So what I'm going to do is select that point, and I'll pick a new host, which is on the bridge path, and I'll do the same on the other side. Pick the point, place it on the path, pick that one, place it on the path, and now I can also just move that into a location, the other side, and I'll do it here as well. I'll move that point, and I'll move that point there. Now, at the moment, that they're all level, and because our 2 points, the start point here was 1.5 metres below the other end. So what I'll need to do is I'll go to, maybe I'll go to the left. So the Hawk Bridge at this end is starting at the 49.5, and this one here, the next one along, I'll just move it up 500. And I'll move the end one down 1.5 metres, and I'll move this one down 1 metre. So you can see them all there now. So what I'm going to do is select each of our profiles and also select the path, and then I select create form, and that's now created the mass object going from that level up to this one. So after we've created those, the mass, we can now add. So what I might do is just change this to shaded to make it a bit easier, so you can see the mass there now. So I can finish the mass off. Now I can either go back to massing and site and select from the wall, roof and floor and curtain system there, or I can also get it from the architectural tab, and I'll select wall by face, and I'll just put a generic 200 mil wall there, and I'll pick that face and I'll pick that face. So that's now got Revit wall elements attached to it. And I can do the same thing with the path itself, which has to be done as a roof. So I'll select that and then create roof. And now we've got our bridge through there. Now the next thing I'll need to do is put some columns down, and to do the columns, I'll do them as mass, but I'll just make them simply in place mass. And I might just use the ellipse tool, and I'll just put them roughly anywhere for now. And I might make them 1200 by 600 there, and I'll click on Create Form. And I'll finish it there now. And I'll just go back to 3D. That's the column I just put in there, but I can drag that down to wherever I want. But I'll just leave it up for now, because what I'm going to do is I'll just copy that around a couple of times around the building. Around the bridge. So what I'll do is I'll put roughly there. I'll just do the RO shortcut T key to rotate it, and I'll just rotate it like that. I'll do the same thing with this one. I'll just use the tab keys to roughly get it into position, RO, and then just rotate it into position. And the same here, RO, rotate it, and use the tab key to in position. So if I go back to the 3D, so you can see they're all there, but I can just go and adjust them quickly to suit. Go around to the front. Okay, so that's all that done. Now, I'll go to the export view. I might just change that to consistent colors. Now, I don't want to export the surface, so I'll go to Visibility Graphics, and I'll go to Topo, and I'll just turn that off. And the same with our level view there, don't really need that, so I can go to Visibility Graphics and go to Annotation and turn off levels. Now, the next thing, I don't really need to export our model lines, so I'll just hide that category. And with the mass, because I've only done, well, I've got two, I could keep those columns as a mass, which I will in this case, but I could actually make a wall around there and just apply a wall finish if I wanted, but I'll export it as a mass just to show you can export masses as well. But I won't, I'll right click and I'll hide this element, the mass element off. So that's the object we need exported. So I'll just do a save first. And I'll go to File, Export, CAD Format, DWG. It's telling me there that if your masses that are turned off, you won't be able to see, but when they're on, you can. So I need to go and click on this little menu item, and I've got to go to Units, and I've got to make sure that Shared Coordinates is on. I'll say OK. I'll go next. And just leave it at that for now. So that's been exported, and I'll just get my 3D and I'll there's the bridge. Say OK. And there it is located on the surface. So that's all done there. So what I'll do now, I'll just demonstrate a few more things with masses, just to show what can be done. So I'll go back to mass and in place mass, say OK. This will have nothing to do with the bridge, but I'll explain masses a bit more. So if I just pick a rectangle and draw a rectangle, and I'll say create form for now. Go back to the 3D view. Easier in that. So I'll just select the mass again. You can see that whenever I pick a side or a corner, I can now use these arrows to move it around, and the same with the sides and everything as well. So anywhere around it, I can change. Yeah, I'll just select the mass again and then edit it. And I'll just draw a circle for now. And I'll place it on a face. And with this form here, I'll now make it a void. So go finish there now. That's not going all the way through, but we'll go in there again, edit. Oh, do it another way. Go there. It didn't work out too well, did it? I'll do that one again. Create. And I'll just create a circle there. Create a void form. a bit better. So you can put a hole through it, and you can still manipulate the mess and that as well. Now, the other mess is to place a mess. And it's come up, there's no mess family loaded, so I'll say load them in. And just go to here. Oops. And I'll just put a gable one in there. So this is a mass family that we've got here now. So I go to 3D, you'll see it close there. So to change this one over on the properties window here, we've got options to change the dimensions. So like the ease height, 3 meters. And if I just apply that, you'll see that what changes. I'll change the height to 6. Depth to 12. And again, we can locate that anywhere at all. And again, if I go to export, make sure coordinates is right. And next, and I'll overwrite the previous one. And now I'll bring the Civil 3D drawing over, and I'll reload it there. And there's our building. And I'll just take that back. I suppose the other thing which we can do while here, and I'll go to the 3D because that's got the mass there. I can select the mass, edit in place, and I can change so if I pull that height up there, you'll see the mass just change instantly. So that.
John.
Yep.
Interesting question here from Bryce. He said, why didn't you use the floor by face for the base of the walkway? You used the roof by face, from what I remember.
Okay. Because the floor by face is for actually putting floors in buildings. And in this case here, the walkway isn't a floor. It's curved and it's sloping, and you would not have that in a building normally. If it was a flat surface, yes, I could have, but in this case, no. So even
if this was within a building, say it would still be classed as a roof by face.
Yeah. It doesn't, like, it's really just an object, really, or an element. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just displaying it.
Thank you. Cool. Yeah. Thanks for your question, Bryce. Cheers.
And in a building, maybe you would put a concrete slab or something in anyway. If it was a ramp, maybe. So you'll notice that I'll just finish that there now. Our wall didn't go up. So if you select the wall, you can go up here and update the face. So now the wall has been updated, and you can virtually do that with anything. So if the floor or the roof by face changed, you just update it, and that's done. So yeah, so if I change the width and things like that, I'd have to update the roof by face. But that's basically it. If there's no more questions.
No more questions. I've got a bridge down the road looking very, very similar to where I'm located. And it's good to know it only took them about an hour to put together, because it took them years to build the thing. Dear.
I suppose the only other thing I could do here is add the trees and things on, but I don't know whether you want to go through that now. Like, I could easily just go to massing and say, oh, I want a tree, pick a tree, and in Revit, the tree will just be placed on the surface through there. Anywhere I want, it'll just position it all automatically on the surface. So, does that tool allow you to sort of cluster groups of trees within an area, or is it literally on a tree by tree basis? It's a tree by tree basis.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, but I could make a block up and whatever, but it's easier just to I think do it this way. But the other thing that Revit does is I'll just put well, I won't put that tree because I've already put one in. I'll just put a different tree in, one that I haven't used. Let's grey birch. And if I put that tree in there now, I'm going to make it into a person. So if I go to edit the type and edit that and go from the class to people, and I'll just put a casual person in there for now. Select that one there, and I won't leave him 3.1 metres tall, or 3,100. Let's make him 1.7, 1750. Okay, so now that's a person. So if I go to make this realistic view, so now we've got the trees and that person in there.
Presumably, as you add more things in, John, does that, with these types of objects, are they sort of cutout type objects where they will, I guess what I'm trying to say is, how hungry are they on memory and whatnot with respect to adding these in?
There are PC objects, so they're not very,
yeah. They almost feel like cutouts, aren't they? But
that's right. They're just cutouts with an image applied to them.
Yeah, cool.
Which faces wherever you scroll, it faces you.
Yeah.
Basically, and that's why it looks correct.
Yeah.
So even that, when I move around, he's always.
Facing you.
Yeah, he's always facing you. And
excellent.
That's about it.
Fantastic. Thanks, John. Some great sort of little segments within that webinar for people to come away with, particularly, I think for many of you, the Civil 3D aspect of just sharing Civil 3D surfaces with Revit and showing those objects back to Civil 3D is very important to those of you that use both those products. Just to finish off, if you guys have any questions in the meantime, just while I'm doing this sort of bookend of the session, feel free to.
There is one thing I could add, and to do with the Civil 3D surface, because the Civil 3D surface might change.
Yes.
So you can import the Civil 3D, or go to the topo surface, and you select all your existing points, delete them in the edit mode, and import again, and that'll recreate the new surface within the same drawing.
So it re-references those objects.
It just re-references everything again. So
yeah,
that's what you do there. Continue, Jonathan.
Thank you very much. No, great. Nice little book into the session. Thanks very much. I'm just going to quickly share my screen. As I said, folks, if you've got anything to drop in the Q&A panel in the next couple of minutes, you're more than welcome to do that. We do have a survey that we run at the very end. So if your web browser pops up once you've left the webinar, please just spend, it's about 1.5 minutes, just quickly filling out some feedback for us. We have them at the end of every webinar just to give us an idea as to how we've done, and if there's anything you're interested in seeing, or if there's anything that we can improve on in any area, from getting the newsletter to seeing the recordings. Any kind of feedback, feel free to give that to us. You can watch the recording on our YouTube channel within the next 24 hours. If you have found out about this webinar from either word of mouth or someone has forwarded you an email, you can subscribe to our newsletters, and simply just subscribe to the webinar newsletter, meaning you won't get anything else other than notifications for our regular webinars. Coming up next week, we've got the AutoCAD CAD standards. If you've never seen those before, they're an actual staple part of AutoCAD, so we're going to be covering those. And then following that, I'll be doing a webinar on curb build outs and pedestrian crossings using Civil site design, which will be fun and games on top of Civil 3D. Thanks very much, John, for today's webinar.
Thank you.
And happy birthday for tomorrow. Someone sneakily told me all about that. So yeah, happy birthday for tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
And for the rest of you, we hope you all stay safe and well, and we look forward to seeing as many of you as possible at the next webinar. Take care, everyone. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Cheers.